Welcome to the One Up Sales Development Podcast, a podcast for new and emerging revenue leaders, whether you're in sales, marketing, or customer success. We're here for one thing and one thing only, to drive revenue. This one goes out to all the hustlers out there on the phones, each and every day, slugging it out. Whether you're adding net new logos, expanding revenue from your sales base, or renewing existing accounts, it's all about working as one cohesive team towards one cohesive goal.
Cross-functional sales team.
So if you're new and you want to be a top funnel sales dev strategist, then you better put in the work and act like one. Digital marketing, act like one. Customer success, act like one. To be the bro, act the role. I'm your host, Jackson Lill, a top funnel revenue growth leader and an everyday frontline practitioner. This podcast is brought to you by the SDU community, Sales Dev Unite.
SDRs Unite.
Thank you for tuning in and enjoy the show. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Chris, welcome back to the One Up Sales Development Podcast, man. I appreciate you being here.
Man, I appreciate you having me on. Like, you looking all fancy, I'm looking basic, so I'm feeling a little underdressed for this right now.
I appreciate you, man. Actually, should I give you the heads up for the memo, huh? I'm just kidding.
I mean, next time, man, let a boy know so I can put on that vest and tie and do it properly, right?
Yeah, my man. Dude, Chris, owe you an apology, man. For those who are listening right now, we are actually just in the green room right now. We ran an episode not too long ago, and through a series of events and some transfer files, I lost it on my end. But say, okay, glad you're able to be open to doing it again and running one more time to give us a modern update.
Yeah, man. I mean, I just like we were saying, man, it just wasn't meant to be. So apparently, round 2 better be better than round 1, or else I'm letting you down.
My man, well, it's good seeing you, man. You look good, you look sharp, and always vibe with you, man. Always, that's one thing I really love about you, Chris, is that when it comes to being a sales professional, you keep it real. Like, you're straight to the gun, straight to the gut. This is who you are and this is who you're not. And if something hits the fan or someone try to call you out or whatever, and if you're wrong, I'm just saying, I believe you'd be like, you know what, you're right. And you just probably admit on the spot, man.
I mean, I do it. I just did it the other day. I was like going back and forth with a coworker on something. Like, I felt like I was like, hell yeah, I'm right on this one. Man, he pulled up the recording. I was like, 100% wrong. You are right. Like, there ain't no ego with it, Like, I'm confident in myself, but when I'm wrong, man. Like, this is how you humble yourself. I feel like y'all just get too hyped on your own stuff. Like, you God's gift to the world, and we're all students for life unless you stop learning. So I got to admit when I'm wrong, because I got to lead by example. And that's how a leader leads.
My man, there it is. Lead by example, lead by the lead, for the people, from the people, for the people. Love that, man.
Yes, sir.
Chris, and just to update you a little bit too, you're actually the first episode we're recording today in terms of the brand new revamped One Up Sales Development Podcast. The other episode that will be pre-releases before was already pre-recorded. Before it was for SDRs, made by SDRs for SDRs, targeted for the new sales development reps. But through a series of events, as we start to evolve and start to grow, and I noticed, and some of my partners too realized that we're all growing. So congratulations, man! You are the first guest from the revamp. It is the One Up Sales Development Podcast, a podcast for new and emerging revenue leaders. Welcome to the show, baby.
Boom. There we go. Now we talking. All right.
All right, go. Chris, man, you start from the bottom to the top, work your way up the ranks. You were an SDR and BDR, rolled out to outside sales AE over at Xerox, and then move your, onto sign out to as a sales director. 10K strong followers, man. For our listeners listening today, this is your show. This is your episode. Why don't you go and just give us like a deep introduction about, who you are, what do you currently do, and just, what's your story when it came to sales?
Yeah, so I have like a weird background. If you look at my LinkedIn, I mean, I did financial planning and analysis. I did, jumped around multiple companies and did that, plus some consulting work. And then I come in and be, kind of reset my career, right? Go from finance to sales. So took a step back and took a nice pay cut off of that too. BDR'd for a bit and went through the grinder on that. and then flipped out to Xerox, sold copiers and got my teeth kicked in because it was in the pandemic when no one was in the office. Try to sell a copier when no one's in the office, man, that's a hard sell. And then flipped out to my current role at Prodigal, where I'm a sales director. So I head up partnerships, sales, go-to-market strategy, and I got my hands in like basically everything except writing code. That's the one thing I'm not going to go do. But you need me for anything else, I will. Don't ask me to write code, man. I suck at that stuff. So I know what my lane is, and it's not coding. Current role is everything, right? Like I do full cycle sales. I forge all our partnership opportunities. I work with marketing to create our marketing strategy. I talk with product to help design the product. And then of course I, work customers through the entire process, right? From I still make cold calls all the way to signature of contract through implementation, get the referrals, case studies, make all that happen. So it's a real all-encompassing role. I love it, but it ain't easy, man. Like this doing this much work and putting all that on your plate for one person, it ain't easy. But when you rise to the occasion, you grow as well. So it's been a really, blessed for a growth role. I have an amazing CEO, Shantanu, who has just really empowered me to, come into my own, and he continues to support me, and so does the team. So I'm just really blessed.
Nice. Okay, so just to confirm, what we're hearing is you're basically more of a full cycle sales rep, from start to end, beginning to end, and then you also work with product and marketing too as well over at Prodigal. Is that right?
Yeah, so I do full cycle sales. So I don't have an SDR. I make my cold calls, I get my own meetings, or I go to the conferences and I do everything myself. Then disco demo, vendor onboarding, trial, contract, sign, implement, CS handoff. Like I do all of it.
Nice. Okay. God, I knew this is why you'd be great first episode for the new revamp, man. Because I was like, wait a minute, even though we lost our episode, this guy is a full cycle sales rep. He has the SDR
Yep.
BDR experience, so he knows the prospecting game, and now he also knows the full cycle, man. This guy, fuck yeah, Chris. So let's talk about Prodigal. What is Prodigal? Prodigal, is that how you pronounce it? Prodigal?
Like prodigal, like prodigal son.
Prodigal. So what is Prodigal and what do you guys do?
Yeah, so it's a collection intelligence platform. Essentially, we're analyzing the conversations that collection shops are having with debtors and making sure that they're compliant, but also finding ways to coach up the reps. So if you think of like a Target has a collections department, Macy's, banks, everything like that, all the way down to like debt buyers, and then what we call first and third party collection shops. So everyone's talking to these customers that are behind on their payments, trying to get those unpaid balances paid up. There's a lot of regulation that goes around how to have those conversations. And also, there's not a lot of training that gets done, super manual process. So we're giving people the ability to understand where the compliance issues could potentially be, also how to help train reps up and get them into a better state so they're collecting more and performing better.
Oh, got it. Okay. That's what it means by revenue and compliance. So
yep.
Talk about banks when it comes to collection. Are you talking about people who are like, delinquent in their payments, or like in debt, or maybe even debt collectors, or is that a little too far when it comes to debt collectors?
No, but it's both. So it's people that are delinquent. Like let's say like I racked up a credit card bill and I haven't paid it. I'm 30 days behind. I want to start getting some phone calls to get paid up on that debt. We'd be analyzing those conversations and helping those reps navigate that to have better conversations and actually get the money collected versus not even getting it collected, right?
Okay. So when it comes to collecting the data, is it their conversation with the client themselves, or overall, so that they know where they picked up from? Is that right?
Yeah, so we're analyzing the phone conversation, just like how we're talking right now. Our platform would analyze that conversation, tag it up for you on, okay, you gave your memoranda disclosure, your recording disclosure, you validated the debts, you made sure you're talking to the right person. They asked for a letter to validate the debt. You maybe set up like a settlement plan or something like that. We're going to tag, kind of the insights, the key insights to that conversation. So that way when management's looking at it, they can say, okay, this is what happened in the conversation. And then surface that.
Okay, perfect. And okay, I see it now, I understand, and this really makes sense too from someone who's not too shy from being delinquent or very common when I get late my payments, because every time they would call, it's always like, when was the last time you made the payment? They're like, so when's the last time you made the payment? When's the last time this? When's the last time that?
Yeah.
But it's more of like now they have the whole information from the back end and they can utilize and leverage that. Hey, Chris, the last time we spoke, you mentioned you were going to make a payment on this specific day for this amount, but it did not go through. Is there something wrong here? Is there anything we can do to help? Just to have that meaningful conversation, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what it is. I mean, like the easiest way to ascribe it for like people in the SaaS industry, it's like the Gong and Chorus, but for collections, right? So Gong and Chorus focuses on coaching reps up in their conversations, sales reps. We focus on coaching up collectors, irregardless of what industry you're in. If there's any delinquent, money, you're calling and collecting on it. We're coaching those people up.
Got it. Okay. Thank you for elaborating on that. Appreciate you. All right.
Of course.
Chris, so you were an analyst for a good 2, almost 3 years. You started over at, right. Was it aerospace?
UTC. Yeah, UTC.
UTC, resume, Jack in a Box, Jack in a Crack.
Yeah.
Financial analysts working with the numbers. And normally when we hear analysts, right, these are people who are really good at crunching down numbers and they're finding a gap. And then all of a sudden you made a horizontal jump into sales. Mm-hmm. What happened?
Man, it's simple. I wanted to become an investment banker living in San Diego. That's just not going to happen. Everyone thinks you surf all day and you're not going to have the work ethic. So at that point, I just got, financial analyst job just to get the career going, but I just wasn't happy. Like the entire time I was in the role, I'm like, this just isn't me. I can't do it for 40 years. You know what I mean? I'm not waking up feeling excited. I'm just not, you know what I mean? Like I'm collecting a paycheck. Okay. So like I'm existing, but I ain't living. And you know me well enough, man, like that ain't okay for me. So everyone thought that I was in sales every time I was at a company because I just always got to know everybody and, all that good stuff. So essentially, once I was at Jack in the Box, had an honest conversation with my manager. He's like, I don't think finance is for you. I was like, yeah, man, you're right. And I think sales is the way to go. So I packed up everything, moved to San Francisco and said, let's see what happens.
Okay. Hold on. Let's take a step back here. First of all, I want to applaud you for that, for making a leap, a leap of faith. That's number one. Number two, talk to us about your manager at that time who says, I don't think this is the right one for you. I think you should try sales. Talk to me about that. Is this someone that was there for you from the get-go? He got your back over time? Because from what I'm hearing, he's a great leader. Is that right?
Yeah, he's a good leader, and he's just very candid with me, right? He's like, Chris, like you're good at finance, but like you're not good at like tying it out to the penny. I'm like, yeah, I suck at tying it out to the penny. In an analyst role, you need to tie it to the penny. I'm like, I'm good at strategic. And he's like, you just got that personality where you're just not like sitting in a cube all day, not talking to anybody. I'm like, yeah, that doesn't work. So like we just had an honest conversation. You know what I mean? He's like, I just don't think finance is for you. I was like, yeah, man, like I don't think so either. You know what I mean? You're trying to figure out what to do. You're trying to figure out what to do, right? Like just real talk. You're trying to figure out what to go do when you get out of college. So you got to go through a couple of jobs and bang your head around a little bit to sometimes figure out this isn't meant for me.
Yeah. How did sales get in the mix? I'm curious if you guys are sitting there and then it's like, hey, you're an analyst now. Maybe you should try accounting or something like that. Or
nah, he's like, he's like, dude, you too. He actually said marketing or something like that. And I looked into a bunch of marketing roles and I was just like, you know what, man, I think I just want to do sales. So I made a decision because everyone my whole life told me I'd be good at sales. Yeah. Everyone thought I was in sales in all my prior roles. So it was one of them things where it's just like, I just didn't see any other option. You know what I mean? Like, really, I was just like, this got to work. So everyone's telling me for years I'd be good at it. And I'm like, well, I mean, I'm like, what, 24 at the time, 25 or some junk like that, 26.
Yeah.
And I was just like, let's just go for it. You know what I mean? Who cares? Like the worst that's going to happen is I fail at that.
Why San Francisco?
That's where my family is. So I moved for family, and there's more job opportunity. And I just needed to change the pace.
Got it. Okay. I thought you chose that because it's like, you know, the land of the tech, so to say.
There's just more jobs out there and families here, so it's a 2-for-1.
For sure. Chris, when you made that jump and you know, you started over at Corsair, did you take a pay cut?
Oh hell yeah, dude! I took a pay cut. I mean, Jesus, finance pays good, man. BDRs don't pay half as good as finance does. What the hell are you talking about?
My man, that's what's up, dude. You know, I'm curious to pick your thought process there. I know when you jumped to sales, and then what was the thought process there? Did you have someone else mentor you and gave you words of advice just to let you know, hey, think about the long game. This is just how you start, but it's not where you're gonna end.
Hell no, man. I just jumped in and figured it all out on my own. Just got my teeth knocked out for a couple months. I didn't know Jack. I didn't have no mentors. I didn't know anything, man. I just I was like old school, just dumb as hell, just charging at it like a bull and just said, screw it, I'll figure it out if I crash through enough things. So it was all like, that's probably the worst way to go about it, to be honest. But
Yeah.
I learned a lot fast and failed really fast as well. And then eventually started catching on. But yeah, when I first started, I had no mentors, no nothing, man. It's just myself trying to figure it out.
Yeah. No, I feel you, man. Young, ambitious, you know, burning desire to succeed. You you
Yeah.
do what it takes, regardless of what people say. Even if it gets to the point where, see, Chris, I told you. But you know, it's you keep attacking no matter what. You keep on pushing forward, um, till you get there, right? Failure way to success.
I mean, you just don't listen to the folks. Like, it don't matter. You know what I mean? Like, we pay too much attention to external factors. Like, I was just like, look, I'm working 80 to 100-hour weeks. I'm just going to soul crush myself, and I'm just going to figure this shit out. Like, just there's just like, there's no other options. Like, we were talking about like David Goggins earlier, right? I'm like, it's just like Goggins
Oh, yeah.
the hell out of this thing. Like,
Yeah.
there, I don't understand anything else but me moving forward. And there's absolutely nothing you can say or do to me that's going to stop me from this. So either just get out of my way or help me. But either or, like, I don't care. I don't need you. I'll figure it out. And that was my mentality, right? Like, just real talk. Like, that's pure hustle and grind. Like, people like make it sound nice, but it's ugly, man. It's 80 to 100-hour weeks. It's you stressing out to the nines. It's you doubting yourself. Like, you go through like hell. You know what I mean? But you come out like battle tested galore. So like my state of mind, I'm like, man, y'all can't touch me. I don't really care what you say or do. You can't even touch me because you ain't been through those trials and tribulations. You ain't sat with yourself. You haven't figured out what it really takes to push through it when no one believes in you. Like, you don't know what it's like to fuel yourself for months on end and not seeing any success. And then you start getting a little taste of it. Then you get smacked around a bit. So you got to go stand back up again and take another beating. Like, you just don't understand what it's like just getting thrashed like that for like a solid year or two. You know what I mean? Like, yes, talk to me when you've been through that, because like now you get through that stuff and you start seeing success and you start realizing there's mentors and those programs to make it easier. Like, I'm like, damn, where was that when I first started? That would have saved me like 2 years of gray hairs over here. But you know what I mean? Like, exactly. I'm still proud of my journey. But I mean, that's just it, man. Like, I just had a mentality where you just can't touch me. And when you just believe in that so strongly, nothing else matters, man. Like, everything gets set aside. You don't let, those seeds germinate in your mind. You know what I mean? Like, that's just not the garden where they're going to take root. So you protect that garden, which is your thoughts in your head, right? And you just keep watering it with whatever thoughts you need to and create that environment. Anyone who doesn't adhere to it and support it, you just pull them out like a weed and you're just done with it. That's it.
Yes. Personal growth and development. You are what you think you are. Man, see, that's why I knew it. I was like, hell yeah, Chris be the first event podcast, and we have the same mindset. Like Goggins says too, right? A lot of people are full of shit. You know, I used to be one of them back in the days. Say I could do this and do that, and went through just what you did too. You know, face adversity and stuff, right? But and what you just mentioned right there. You said, you are gonna help me or you're not, and I don't care what you say because I'm gonna keep going at it. And when you said that, it sparked into me mind because we have the same mindset talking. And again, it's Goggins again. He says it too very well that when you find out who you are, nothing else matters and you become really dangerous. And not dangerous of like, watch out, I'm going to kill you, that kind of dangerous. But it's more of like,
No.
hey, it doesn't matter what you do or say to me, no matter what. This is where I'm at. This is where I'm going, and this is where I'm headed. I'm gonna
Right.
go and do it no matter whatever it takes. And you're either gonna beat or you ain't.
But like, this is how I look at it. Like, it gets really dangerous because you're an unstoppable force. Like I said, there's nothing you can say or do, man. I had my body break down on me. I broke down mentally. Like, I went through living situation issues. My personal life was hell. My work life was hell. Everything was falling apart. I had every excuse in the world to go give up and move back in with mom or some other junk, right? But I was like, look, that's not plan B, man. I don't have plan B, so plan A must work. So I just don't care. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care how many times you're gonna go punch me in the face. I'm still gonna stand up. I don't even care if you knock me unconscious. I'm gonna wake up, I'm gonna dust myself off, I'm gonna say, damn, that hurt, and get back up and get back to it. Because there's work to be done, right? You're not at the finish line, man. You haven't earned the rest. So keep on going. And like, that's what people give up in sales, right? They sitting there like, man, it's hard. I ain't making all this money they told me I was gonna make. Yo, if everyone could make hella money, then everybody be in sales. There's a reason why people wash out. Real talk. Like, it's hard work. Half your paycheck is variable. No one else has a comp plan like that. Right?
100%. 100%.
Like, that's real talk. Only 10% of your reps are actually designed to make your comp plan. So if you're not in the top 10%, you're not going to make that OTE they're talking to you about, right?
Yep.
And that's just the way they build out your plans. So yeah, you need to be the best of the best. Like, good enough ain't going to cut it. It's just not.
If you're going to put in average work, then you're going to be average, right? Chris, so want to pick your mind on this. So a lot of our listeners who listens, right? They're fairly new into the game, on age average between 24 and 28, right? And most of them just want things overnight. Everything given to them. Screw this, fuck this. I can't take this adversity. People are giving me shit. I want things overnight, man. Hey, man, give me that meeting. Come on, just meet it. Oh, we're not in the market for it. Just meet with my AE, man. What are a few things you think you can give them, like, in terms to learn and to embrace, patience and failure? To sometimes you just gotta pump the brakes and slow down.
Yeah, I mean, your audience is probably gonna hate me for my first answer, but my first answer is stop being so entitled. You haven't put in the work. Like, I'm just dead ass honest. Like, you ain't earned the right to complain to me. You ain't put in enough work to talk about how hard it is. Like, you haven't been through enough hardships. You just got started, homie. Like, you're barely paying dues at the moment. So, like, you haven't even earned a right at the table to start complaining. Because here, like, at the end of the day, the job is hard. Duh. Like, if anyone tells you otherwise, they're lying to you. So you actually haven't challenged yourself probably ever in your life. And this is the first time you're meeting true adversity, because you've been, babied, right? Instant gratification, phones, social media, what you see, all that junk. You ain't never, like, struggled for 90 days, 6 months, a year to obtain a goal. So this is the first time you're actually proving yourself, right? I mean, truly proving yourself.
Yes.
So let's just set those expectations. Like, you haven't actually been putting in the work. And you can hate me all you want, and you can tell me I'm wrong, but I know I'm not, because I was there too. So anyone can feel free to argue with me otherwise, but you ain't put in the work yet. So patience comes because you're actually so busy, you don't have time to be complaining. So you're patient by default because you're just hustling. You know what I mean? Like, I figure when people are complaining, I'm like, well, if you got so much energy to complain and so much time, how come you ain't working more? You know what I mean? Like when I was working 80 to 100-hour weeks, I didn't have time to complain. I didn't even have time to sleep or eat. Like, that's the mindset you got to get to. And, like, again, because you haven't gone through the trials and tribulations, you haven't mentally calloused your mind. You're essentially weak right now. So you're going to fail, and it's going to hurt a lot. But you keep doing it over and over and over again, just like building your body in the gym, and you get stronger. It's not that it doesn't hurt any less. You just got stronger. Like, that's all it is. So, like, that's my first piece is, y'all just haven't put in the work yet. So reset your expectations. Like, you haven't been studying sales and practicing for 3 years. You read some probably outdated books and these horrible strategies and made it all about yourself versus your prospect, right? Like, you don't even know your prospect. You don't even know what their world is. You don't know like their language. You don't know what they're struggling with day to day. You don't know how their solution either helps them save money, make money, or improve a process. You're not tying to any business outcomes. You're just spouting off all this nonsense that marketing came up with. So like, why would I take a meeting with you? Like, I'm a sales director, man. I got people pitching me left and right. Why the hell would I take a meeting with you? Like, what's in it for me, homie? Like, I'm selfish. I got 12, 14-hour days right now. Why should I give you 30 minutes? Seriously, like, tell me why I should give you 30 minutes. What am I going to get from that? I know you get your quota, you get paid, but I don't care about you. It's about me and my problems and making my life better. Your job is to understand my world and help me kick more ass. That's your job.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
So, I mean, if you want to say, what would I say? Like, that's what I would say, right? Until you understand my world and can speak my language and can connect to challenges that I have, whether I'm aware or unaware of them, don't reach out. I'm going to ignore you. I'm going to spam your email. I'm going to block your phone number too. And I will block you on LinkedIn and in whatever other channel you find me on. I'll block you on everything. I'm vicious because you're wasting my time.
Oh.
So do your homework and learn. Right?
Oh,
like, I didn't, even in my role of Prodigal, like, I spent 2 months before I even started reaching out to anybody. 2 whole months, man, where I did customer interviews. I'm asking them, how was life like before us? Why did you buy us? How is life like afterwards? How would you describe Prodigal to one of your colleagues? Like, I did deep, deep research. And so I could speak the language. So when I got on the phone with somebody, I could be intelligent. You know what I mean? Like, that's the work you need to do. Like, when they tell you go live after 2 weeks, man, you don't know what the hell you're doing. You got no clue. You smiling and dialing your butt off. And you know, like, I get the calls all the time. I ignore them because they come in as spam. You know, like,
yeah.
And then like you try to get on the phone, like, Chris, I'm sorry. I'm like, man, like, get to it. What are you trying to pitch me right now? I'm not trying to pitch. Yes, you are. It's a cold call. Now you've already screwed up, man. I do this job for a living. Get to the point and pitch me. What is it you're trying to pitch me? I'll tell you right now if I'm interested or not. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's the mentality you need to have.
Yeah.
Not just how do I hit quota. If you help me win, you're going to over exceed quota and make all that extra money. But if I'm not at the center of your world and it's just you and I'm a dollar sign to you, you're going to lose.
Oh man, there it is. The Chris von Hue fire. That was straight to the gun, man. I love that shit, man. And you're absolutely that's the problem nowadays, right? 2 weeks, it's not enough. You know, you need to have business acumen. You need to understand, be able to speak their language. And when you get to that specific level, like how we are today, I get called. I still get calls today too, and we can sniff them from a mile away, and we can just and we can even know what phase they're at, whether they're the intro phase or they're about to throw us a value prop or trying to overcome objection. And we see it from a mile away. And it's funny you mentioned they're like, and you're like, what are you trying to pitch? Like, I'm not trying to pitch anything. Boom, right there. That's red flag number one. What, you trying to call Chris a liar? You calling Chris a liar? Chris, are you a liar?
Right. Well, like, here at this point, man, then why the hell you calling me? Like, let's just be honest. If you ain't trying to sell me something, what the hell you calling me for, homie? Like, to chat? You're a random ass person. I don't know you. I don't want to have a chat with you. I ain't met you at the bar. We didn't bump into each other at the grocery store. I ain't asking you to spot me at the gym. You are a random stranger with some digits on a phone number calling me right now. What the hell do you want? You know what I mean? Like, that's your situation though. So get to it.
Yeah. Chris, there's always an argument on this topic. People talk, and let's talk about cold calling, right? People's always like, cold calling is dead. What are your thoughts on that?
Bullshit, man. Like, real talk, I book 98% of my business off of cold calls. So anybody tell me that, I'm like, dude, you're trying to sell me some new stupid strategy that ain't gonna work, right? You're gonna tell me lead generation, LinkedIn is the new phone. Not for my industry, man. and folk pick up the phone. I just called a managing partner at one of the most prestigious law firms in my industry. He ain't answered any of my emails. He's like, Chris, I don't answer email, but I answered your call. And then he called me back because he had 5 minutes. So he gave me 5 minutes his time. He called me back 7:30 at night his time. This is yesterday. I was going for a walk. So I was talking to him. I was going on my walk. He's like, all right, I got 19 minutes for you because I'm going to eat dinner before I take this next call. And we had a conversation about stuff. So don't tell me cold calling is dead when I just spoke to a managing partner at one of the top law firms in my industry. I'm not buying what she's selling at that point. Like, you can't convince me otherwise. You really can't. Like, I really challenge anyone to DM me and try to sell me otherwise that cold calling is dead when I get all my meetings from cold calls right now. I mean, I really encourage anyone, please try. It's going to be entertaining.
100%. 100%. Man, see, I don't know why that's still even a topic today. And we see it all the time. You know, I personally love cold calling. I live and die by it. I started with that. It's the oldest sales tool available, you know, 60s, 70s, whatever, and it's still one of the most effective yet today. I truly believe that person who's doing it just fucking honestly don't know how to cold call, man. I don't know.
Well, like, here's the thing. Most people don't know, like, they don't have good scripts on it, right? They don't understand the value prop. They haven't done the ICP research. They haven't written out all that work. They haven't done their homework. They're just like, get on the phone and dial, right? So, I mean, like, no, real talk, right? Like, that's just it. Like, if you know your stuff, and I don't mean like you just memorize the script. I mean like you actually know, believe, and understand it, because I can feel the difference. Like, when I know you're reading a script, I cut people off. I'm like, stop reading your script to be human. You know what I mean? Like, I've cut people off in the middle of their cold call. I'm like, stop going over your script. Like, I can already tell it's a script. Like, oh, how do you? I'm like, I do this for a living. You're calling a sales director. You think I don't know? Like, I write these things. What the hell are you talking about? So I think, like, anytime someone says cold calling or some channel is dead, I just look at it as you're trying to sales pitch me some other junk. That's all it is. And I ignore it and I discredit the person instantly. Every channel works. The problem is you need to figure out what channel works best for your industry, double down on it, and figure out how to maximize it. That's the strategy. And if it's cold calls, then go on cold calls. And if it's video, then make video. If it's email, do emails. And if it's conferences, go to conferences. Figure out what the hell works the best for you. Understand that multi-channel strategy will always get you better results than a single channel strategy. Put this stupid argument to rest and move on to something that's more important. There you go. That's it.
Yes,
done.
yes. See, multi-channel is the way to go, but I just want to piggyback on something what you just said right there, and that is what I always taught and believe in, right? Multi-channel increases the chance of getting a response. However, you need to figure out their preferred channel, because some people do emails, some do text, some do videos, what the fuck ever. But you got to find what works for them, and you need to, and that's a job as an SDR and BDR, right? You got to
100%.
figure it out.
Yep. And I'll say, don't cold text and don't cold video chat me. I swear to God, if I get anyone doing that, I don't care if I even need your services. I am never going to answer that. And don't be calling me on the weekends. People have lives. Like, treat a human like a human, man. If you straight cold call me on Saturday or Sunday to sell me your product, I will 100% never buy from you. And I will vividly remember it too. I'm going to be that pissed off.
Yes. Oh, let's talk about that real quick. I made this mistake in the past too, about a year and a half ago. Cold calling, like, you know, off hours or just emailing on the weekend. And I remember shout out to my most recent CEO, Houston Perry over at Better Growth, by the way. He said his mindset philosophy is these professionals you're reaching out to, right? It's like all humans. They all have lives, kids, and you know, when they're off business hours, they're off business hours. That's their time. They're just doing what they do and whatever it is, taking their kids and stuff, right? And if you were to interrupt them and bring in business that time, he says that it is disrespectful. You're not mindful, and he will immediately just block you and just say, what the F? This is a holiday weekend. You're emailing, texting me now. Boom. Which draws a fine line between the rep with the ego. Okay, yeah, working hard. Look at me, working weekends, Chris. Calling you at 9 p.m. What
That's
are your
a bad
thoughts
idea.
on that, man? What are your thoughts on that?
So I mean, like, here's the thing, man. So I work across the globe. I got a lot of clients on the East Coast. So when I'm knocking out my emails at 9 o'clock at night, it's 12, 1 o'clock in the morning their time. It's the time, but I mean, like, my emails have been follow-ups. Like, we've actually had conversations, or I met you at a conference. It's very rare that I'm going to be prospecting cold through the weekend. Normally it's like I will prospect you if we've had some sort of conversation. And so there's a little bit of a relationship built there. Then I'm not so worried about shooting it on the weekend and things like that. But yeah, cold calling, like outside late hours, man, Colin, come on now. Like, again, we got lives. I got lives too. I'm eating dinner. You cold call me when I'm eating dinner, I'm pissed. I don't care if I need your solution. I'm still pissed, right? Because, like, that's not where my head's at. You know what I mean? So, like, email is fine in my world. I think email is fine on Sundays and Saturdays because people are prepping for the week and they work through the weekends. But if you're cold calling people at 7 to 9 p.m. their time, like, honestly, you're just an asshole. Like, I got nothing for you. We can say that recorded and I'm fine with it because I don't even do that. And if I got a cold call at that hour and some BDR is trying to pitch me at 7 o'clock at night my time, I'm pissed off. I really am because I'm like, dude, it's 7 o'clock at night. Are you kidding me right now?
Yeah.
Like, you must be joking right now. I'm hoping this is a prank because if you're serious, I'm gonna go hang up right now. Make sure I hear the name of your company and make sure I tell everyone never to buy from them because they can't respect people at all. That's just what it comes down to.
Yes. Hello. Hi, Chris. I know you're having dinner, but did you want to get pitched for dessert?
Right. Like, nah, homie, unless you about to go, you know, whatever it is, Postmates me some freaking dessert right now, and that's what you're selling me. Okay.
Yeah.
If you're selling me something SaaS-wise, some sales tool, oh God, that's the wrong time, man. That is the wrong time to call.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny, dude. I love that. All right. Hey, Chris, just have a few questions before we start the wrap up, man.
Yeah.
To ask you. So, Xerox, outside, AE, Copiers, during the pandemic, man. Walk us through what was that like? How was the pivot, and what did you do different to get you through it, man?
Man, selling copiers is hard as shit. Let's just start off with that. Like, I don't care what anyone says about SaaS. Screw that. You sell a physical good, man, that's hella hard. Like, y'all just get a contract signed and you're done. I get a contract signed. I got to go through funding, which is like a bank and federal and all this other junk. And that always gets messed up. And then you got to deliver the freaking thing. It has 2 more stages in a sales cycle. Getting the contract signed is like just step 1.
Yeah.
So let me just put it out there. Selling a copier is way harder than selling SaaS. And I'm happy to go argue it with anybody about that one. So yeah, I mean, like, honestly, dude, because it's such a commodity, it's all the same. It all does the same stuff. I know every copier person wants to argue and tell me differently, but I did learn all the products. So it's essentially the same things. It's relationships. It's relationships, man. Like, people are buying your copier because of the relationship with you. I mean, a Xerox versus a Konica Minolta versus a Sharp, like, there's some differences. Maybe service sucks on the back end for one versus the other. Still 50 pages a minute, still faxing, still scanning. Like, there's very little difference. So it comes down to your ability to sell. So that's where I really cut my teeth on being the best at selling and really connecting and treating a human like a human, right? Or else you're just trashing your price and your margin, and then your comp and your payout sucks. So it was hard, man. There's no 2 ways about it. I was banging the hell out of the phones. People don't want to talk to you. They're in contracts for 3 to 5 years on their copiers. So try to sell something where you got to wait 3 to 5 years to have a sales conversation. Man, you got a monthly quota. That sucks.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. No kidding.
So,
you know, it's funny you brought that up. I remember, God, and this is 2018 when I just graduated. I remember right when I graduated, you know, I knew nothing about tech and SaaS. Coming from T-Mobile, I read the AE description. I was like, you know, I want that title, closing title. It's a full cycle sales. And I was like, shit, man, you know, over at T-Mobile, it's pretty much the same thing. Qualify, build a relationship from start to finish, get it signed, paid, boom. And I remember I interviewed this one place. I went down all the way to the final, chat with the CEO, and even his partner came by. It was like the 3rd interview. I was in Torrance, this copier place. And because the fact that I was introduced through a recruiter, You know, I didn't know about the recruiting fee and stuff at the time, but I was so ambitious and, you know, being such a student of sales, of being open to learning, that they wanted to take a shot at me. But the only, I remember that was like yesterday, right? Another failure to success, right? He said the only reason why the risk is so high that we can't invest in you is you don't have a book of business, you know. And he
Yep.
introduced me to somebody they just hired. It was a African American older gentleman, fucking big old
Yep.
book. I saw him too. I remember he was showing, he was just dialing off books, dude. This fucking man
Yep.
on the phone. And
Yep.
the old school people, right? But he has a book of business. So the
Yep.
relationship where he would just jump over and be like, "Hey, Chris, I'm back. Your boy is here, but you know, I'm a different company, but your boy is here, you know." What's up,
Yep.
baby? And I just want to share that story because what you just mentioned, man, relationship, and you know, oh, all right, have a guy. Why should I talk to you? Is
Yep.
what I'm trying to get a stab at.
I mean, like that's the hard thing. When your product is not that different in the industry, when you're commoditized, it comes down to relationships. You know what I mean? And like you can't just build that overnight, man. Like you can't. Like the relationships I built at my company at Prodigal, I know I have good relationships. Like you can go check my name around the industry. I know because I worked hard on it. But I've been in my role for what, 8 months now? Man, I've been busting my ass. You see me at conferences, you see me speaking, you see me learning, you see me talking. Like I put in work day in and day out. You know what I mean? Like I ain't stopping. I still sit here and talk with my customers. Man, I got off a demo, not a demo, I mean their client, but new people came on, so I was kind of training them. Man, I learned about new problems I didn't even know about. Talking to them today. You know what I mean? And I'm constantly learning. Like I went to my team and said, look, here's some new things I've never heard of that a client of ours is going through. And we need to figure out how to solve it. And I got new clients pushing me. Like I'm constantly student learning and then sharing everything online. You know what I mean? So yeah, I build my relationships. I put in the work, man. When people need favors, they're calling me like, hey, Chris, I need someone to do back office work for me. I know your speech analytics platform, but you know somebody? I'm like, yeah, I got somebody. Let me make that intro. Or you need to hire somebody. Cool. Where's the job rec? Send it to me. I got a network for you. You know what I mean? I'm constantly just trading value through this. And be like, even if you're not going to sign up with me today, if I can recommend some other platforms for you, I'm going to go do that. And like, that's what it truly means to build community, build relationships. And that's what most people don't get because they're just about themselves. I'm like, you may not buy from me ever, but you damn sure are going to recommend me. Be like, hey, you should talk with Chris, man. Like, you know, we didn't need speech analytics, but he helped me out with this back office work that I needed, or he helped me get my new collection, you know, software that I needed, or a new telephony provider. He helped shortlist it for me. Like, go talk with him if you need speech analytics. Like, I've gotten inbounds from that from some of the largest companies in the industry, and they've never bought from me, but they recommended me over their current speech analytics provider. They even recommend the current provider they're using. They recommended me, and they're not even paying me $1 right now.
Yes.
Like real talk, that's what relationship actually means.
Yep.
You know, that's what you need to get to.
100%. 100%. Chris, that's what I love about you, man. You see it, you feel it, you know it. You know, and I say, man, that's my guy. You know, I hear Chris von Hue, that's my guy, man. That's my guy. You know, and just to piggyback on what you just said, man. And you know, when people wrote that's the thing about people now, fucking days. A lot of them are slugs. You know, it's about me. It's about me. It's about me. And when it's only about me, your business is fucking over. You know, you're more and more times than not, you're just a piece of shit. You need to make it about them, right? And like that's like the 19th century, early 20th century too. You know, that's like the phrase ABC, always be closing. But
I hate that shit, man.
But, yeah. But what I wanted to bring in was what you just mentioned, man. That's, you know, the new, and I'm sure you agree too. The 21st century, man, it's all about ABL, right? It's always be learning, and it's basically what you're just doing, man.
Well, it's like it's a couple things, right? So you're learning, but like you got to do it for something bigger than yourself. And this is like life lessons plus sales. Like if you don't believe in the product and the bigger vision and that you're really helping somebody, you're going to flop. I mean, there'll be a couple weird people that can make it, but generally speaking, by and large, you're going to flop. Like for me, like, yeah, I like dollar signs. Yeah, I like bank accounts. Yeah, I like nice cars. Like, duh. But like, if you ask me, hey, Chris, what's your main motivator? You know, because I must be money motivated. I'm a sales guy. I'm like, well, duh, I like money. Who the hell says they don't like money? But if you ask me what my number one motivator is, it's watching these people become successful. It's when I'm hearing that you've been talking about speech analytics for 2 years, you couldn't get anything across the finish line, and I got you there. Damn, like screw the bank account and the commission check. Just that feeling that I know I made a change in your company. You've been trying to do it for 2 years. To know that I've unlocked value you've never been able to get to know that I've helped you get promoted or whatever it is that we're trying to achieve here, and that I had a hand in your success. Man, that's way more motivating than the money. Of course, I like the money. I worked hard for it, so I want my money. But at the end of the day, like that's not the first motivator. That's not the foundation. Like that's like, that's like the scaffolding on my building, duh. But my foundation is other people's success and knowing that I played a role in seeing them become successful.
Yeah.
And so it's like when you do that, you're gonna be able to be amazing. Like that's why I'm good at my job. Like just flat out, I'm good at my job because I put other people before me and I take care of my people. And in return, they take care of me because I have that giving mentality. And too many people are selfish. They're all take. Like, what have you done for me recently? I'm like, man, who cares? Help somebody stop having these expectations, man. Put out the good karma in the world. You know what I mean? Like, I have hella conversations with random people I've never met before off of LinkedIn because like, hey, Chris, got into sales, don't know what I'm doing, heard you're a good guy to talk to. Can I talk to you for 30 minutes? I just did one of those calls like yesterday or whatever day it was this week. And he's like, this has been so helpful. He's like, can I follow up with you in a couple of weeks? I was like, yeah, man, implement what we talked about and come with some pointed questions and I'll talk with you. And, if I don't respond, just keep bugging me because I get busy and I forget sometimes. So don't take it personally. I just set expectations, right? But I'm like, keep reaching out to me. I told you to do it. So I think like, that's like, those are the things that I really want people to listen to, right? It is like, do it for something bigger than yourself. If money's the only thing that motivates you, you're going to burn out eventually because money's a means to an end, right? Money for me 100%. Is financial freedom, living life on my terms. So my motivation is live my life on my own terms. How do I achieve that? In part by money. So understand really like why you want the money. Like, what are you going to go do with it? You got $100,000 in your bank account now because you're crushing your commissions. What are you going to go do? That's your true motivator. The money's just the enabler. So
my man. Hot. Okay. Dude, I want to piggyback on something that is very, very popular too. You LinkedIn strong, man. 10K follower plus ongoing. And I noticed from a lot of people that sometimes this happened too, and you're a great guy for like, hey man, I'll give you some of my time, but and he has to follow up, things don't go through, just keep on paying him. Because a lot of people sometimes they can't manage all of that because it gets too overwhelming.
Sure.
What are a few ways to manage that as someone who has such a quite large following like you do?
Yeah, I mean, like, to be frank, we were talking about it earlier. I haven't really been investing in LinkedIn like I used to because, like, I just don't have the time. I mean, like, my job is 12, 14-hour days. And it was like that for 7, 8 months. I finally got to a point where I'm working like 10, 12-hour days. And I usually get, like, most of a weekend off. I don't know. Sometimes, Memorial Day, I worked 10 hours Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So I worked 30 hours uninterrupted. So that's about a week's worth of work I did in 3 days. That's just the way that one went. So I think, to be honest with LinkedIn, man, it's like, for me, it's good just to kind of stay up to date on trends. You can post a little bit here and there, but like, what are you really trying to get out of the platform? It's easy to be busy on it, to comment and build the following, but how's that helping you become a better sales professional? Right? And like, you need to ask yourself that question. Like for me, it was learning and resourcing like that. And once I kind of got to that point, I'm posting and trying to get back into it a little bit more, but my job is number one. And yes, my prospects are on LinkedIn, and yes, they read my posts and comment on them and like them and talk about it, but it's only just a portion of it. You know what I mean? So I think you got to carve out like maybe 30 minutes a day max, but beyond 30 minutes during working hours, you need to do your job. Like your job is not to be on LinkedIn. Your job is to sell.
Yeah.
So don't lose sight of why you got hired. It was not to go build a LinkedIn brand to be LinkedIn famous.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you're not an influencer. So you're a sales professional. Act accordingly and partition your time accordingly.
There it is.
And don't get lost in social media, dude. It's like, you get lost in your Instagram and your Snapchat and your TikTok. And I'm like, cool. Are your prospects there? No. Then why are you doing it during work hours?
Exactly. You see, this is a uprising trouble, common problem. And we all see it too. You know, us as to we've been on LinkedIn for quite some time. We see it. You know, they're like, hey, look, you know, I'm not talking shit, but I'm just gonna throw it out there because it's true, right? We see a lot of people out there who's just all of a sudden, you know, they're fairly new, just got in the game. They're like, oh, fuck, shit. And these guys are LinkedIn fans. Damn, Chris got 10,000 followers. He starts nagging and just like sharing your stuff and then just commenting, kind of like kissing ass. Not that that's a bad thing and all, but sometimes, but we see him. There's a lot of it, you know. And like you said, man, you need to put in the work, put in the time, but also, you know, fucking do your job.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I look at it. Like, I see folk jumping on LinkedIn and doing whatever. I'm like, that's cool and all, but you know, how are you looking to quota attainment? What are you doing to help yourself get better? How are you closing more deals because you're spending 2 hours on LinkedIn a day? Like, if you can't give me attribution on how it's really helping you improve yourself, then what's the inherent value of you spending so much time during your work hours? Now, your personal time, do whatever the hell you want. It's your personal time. But during work hours, you're expected to work. You know what I mean? Like, if I have an employee, if I have a sales rep spending 5 hours on LinkedIn, but they're not converting and they're under quota, I'm like, what the hell are you doing on LinkedIn, homie? Go pick up the phone and dial. Like, what are you doing right now? I don't get this, right? You know what I mean? Now, if I got an employee that's hitting quota and they only need to work for an hour a day, then I don't really care. You're hitting your numbers. Like, you're doing the job that you got hired to do. So do whatever you want. I don't care about the hours. I care about the results.
Exactly.
So focus on the results, man. And if you're not getting the results, probably cut back your LinkedIn time. It's probably not getting you where you want to go. You might end up getting fired because you're spending too much time building a personal brand. It's not going to pay you anything versus doing the job you're getting paid to do.
Exactly. There it is. Chris, just to wrap this up here, man. For the audience, man, I gotta do this, man. You open for a role play, man?
You're gonna put me on the spot again. Might as well. Let's go for it. I remember this last time. I remember last time you did that one to me.
That's all I was like. Last time I was like, fuck, man, fucking hey, you know, it would have been cool if you create a new one and then, you know, throw it back because that role play was pretty sick too. But you know, you're at Prodigal, right? Just to get a feel, I'm gonna throw a few, you know, throw a few curveballs at you, just to for our listeners to hear, to you know, what a tenured sales professional sounds like. So whenever we're ready, when you are, you're calling from Prodigal. I'll be the guy from banker. Let's say I'm a banker, whatever.
We'll say you're Bank of America. We'll call you the Chief Operating Officer. I'll give you your role. You're Chief Operating Officer, Bank of America.
Nah, baby, I'm a CEO all of a sudden. All right.
Yeah. You got bumped up.
All right, for sure.
All right. So, hey, Jackson, this is Chris for Prodigal. You probably have no idea who I am, but can I borrow a moment of your time to explain the reasons for my call?
Sure.
I appreciate that. So the reason for my call is working with a couple of COOs in your space, and they're sharing with me that they're really struggling to better understand some of the quality issues that are going on with the collectors' phone calls. They're worried that there could be some compliance issues sliding by, and also concerned that they're leaving some cash on the table because collectors aren't following through. Does any of that kind of sound like your day-to-day, or am I just rambling here?
Oh, what are you trying to sell me, Chris?
So actually, we're a speech analytics solution. And, you know, before I start going into a fun pitch, I'm just kind of curious, you know, of what I just described, what is top of mind for you at the moment?
Well, yes, it is relevant to me. As a matter of fact, it happens quite often, one time too many. You know, one of the things we've been trying to figure out is that our credit card department, you know, we have people calling late payments on the credit card, and they often call the clients, and one of the biggest complaints we get is they don't know what the last conversation was about. Is this something you guys can help with too as well?
Yeah, it's actually pretty common, right? Because collectors aren't taking good notes and they're not actually getting trained on their own calls, because typically calls are getting manually reviewed and they only get scored them on about 5 calls a month. Does that sound about accurate for what you guys are doing today?
Yeah, yes, it does, Chris.
Yeah. So let's say your collector's making 100 calls a day, and that's 20 days of work in a week. So they're making 2,000 calls. They only get feedback on 5. It's just not enough for them to get better. You know what I mean? So that's actually one of the core issues that we're solving is giving them better visibility and coaching. So then they can improve that performance and actually collect more cash for you while mitigating your risk. Does that sound like it's something that you'd be open to learning more about?
It does. Yes.
How about we find some time tomorrow to continue the conversation? What's your calendar looking like?
Oh, yeah, tomorrow's good. Let me check real quick here. 2 p.m. Eastern looks fair.
2 p.m. Eastern is good. I'll send over that invite for you shortly and look forward to talking to you then.
Bam! Money. Fucking my man, Chris von Hue. See, damn, this motherfucker bring the heat. See, this, to all you brand new SDR BDRs listening right there, that is how you execute a code call, man. What I love about that, I threw a curveball at you, man. What are you trying to sell? You immediately value prop and then you turn it back. But, you know, is this even relevant to the question? I was like, oh, fuck, that's what's my man do that. Flawless, man.
You gotta get relevance. Relevance is everything.
Yeah, definitely. If it's not relevant, you know, some people talk about like familiarity and relevance too. Familiarity is more of like, hey, look, they're aware, you know, do some type of marketing at maybe some ABM, account-based marketing. And yeah, I'm aware you do, you know, what you guys do and solve. But if it's not relevant, it's fucking don't even talk to them, you know.
Well, who cares?
Chris, that was fucking fire, man. Thank you so much for doing that. That was amazing.
Of course.
Yeah. Chris, just to wrap things up here, if there's someone on a, you know, on the pod right now, do you want to reach out to you and connect with you directly? What's the best way to do so?
Yeah, man. LinkedIn's still the best. So it's this Chris and then last name, V as in Victor, O-N space H as in Huey, U-E-N-E, or CVH on a hashtag. You'll be able to find me easily. So Charlie, Victor, Hero, whatever. Can't remember all friggin' ways to say it, but yeah, just get me on LinkedIn, man. I'm pretty good on that one. That's gonna be the easiest route. I mean, everything else is pretty messy for me, but I'm usually pretty good at answering on LinkedIn.
There it is. Chris, thank you again so much for being the first of the new One Up Sales Development podcast, a podcast for new emerging revenue leaders. We truly appreciate you, man.
Man, appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me on. I'm glad I could be the first one for you.